So we work with water utilities all around the state. The areas shaded in red are places we're currently working. We're building out a statewide program. This is H2OSAV. It stands for Water Savings, Analytics, and Verification. We work with, again, utility and local governments. Those are on the left. We also work with some builders and developers, and anyone who's doing active water conservation programs. Our goal is to help them do a better job. Okay, so we talked a little bit about land use difference, but when I think Lance was talking about, we go from cow fields to developments, here's what we're really seeing. And it doesn't take very long these days to go there. And that's a drastic change in our hydrology and the way we're using water. So just to start that conversation, this is a pallet of water. Everybody's seen this. This is 171 gallons. It's 1,296 bottles of water. So just keep that 171 gallons in your mind as we move forward. So people ask the question, how much potable water do Florida homes use for landscape irrigation? And if we look at all homes, I think Basil alluded to this earlier, a lot of homes like this one in the picture don't have an in-ground irrigation system. So we see them on average, all the homes, 931,000 we were using for this portion of the study, 126 gallons per day indoor and roughly 94 gallons per day outdoor. But if you focus in and you just look on recently built homes, since 2015, this is 38,000, almost 39,000 dual metered homes. We're finding 118 gallons per day indoor. So we've reduced that indoor use, but now 133 gallons per day outdoor. So drastically increased the outdoor use. It's just a shift. That lowering of indoor water use is largely by efficiency of different appliances and fixtures. And the outdoor is, well, all permanent in-ground irrigation systems. So then if we shift that over and we start to look at reclaimed use, we have even higher outdoor use. That's likely related to lower cost for that water. And that's also in newer developments. If you notice, the indoor water use is roughly the same between those who use reclaimed or potable. All right, so this line is the percentage of single-family detached homes in Gainesville with irrigation systems. And what you notice is that it's very low. People have retrofitted in the past up to about 1985, you have very low percentage of those homes with irrigation systems. And then it becomes a very standard feature to almost every home has an in-ground irrigation system. So if we look at the water use, you see a very similar trend. It's hovering around 150 gallons per day or a little lower, all the way up to 1985, when we have that drastic increase in in-ground irrigation systems. It's very clear to me what's happening here. That's where the water's going. Okay. So let's put this in perspective. So if you, it takes 623 gallons to put an inch of water on 1,000 square feet. We looked across an average irrigable area for the lots that we're looking at. It's a little over 3,000 square feet. That means it would take 991 gallons if you had a perfectly efficient irrigation system. Almost 1,000 gallons to put a half an inch of water. That's a minimum IFAS recommendation for an irrigation cycle. We know it's likely twice that much water, but just for sake of argument, it's going to take you at least 991 gallons. You would have to stand in the shower for over 8 hours to use that. So when we talk about highest and best use of our water, when we talk about people in Zephyr Hills that need some drinking water, but we're also balancing that between how much water we put on the yard versus what we use indoor, seems to me a very clear choice where we prioritize our water use. Okay. So we talk about development styles and we talk about how people develop, and we talk about on a community scale. But what we see regularly is a lot of variability in water use. And this is a typical development. You see those in green, darker greens, around 150 gallons per day. That's mostly indoor, as we've seen. And you see them all the way up to the red, and that's 1,000 gallons per day or more, and that's outdoor. And if we want to take that down to ground level, there's 3 homes in a row, same side of the street, same neighborhood. The first one, these are all dual metered homes. This is 207 gallons per day. We're going to shift, I believe, to the right of this home to the next one. They're using no water in their outdoor meter. We ship to the next home, 556 gallons per day, 330 gallons of that are going outdoors. We're going to ship again to the right. This is 1,000 gallons per day with 783 gallons per day outdoor. These are neighbors, 3 neighbors right in a row. So when we talk about, we work with utilities to target high users, and what we're really talking about with a lot like this is probably going to adjust the irrigation timer, get them a smart controller, or some way to just dial that back. They're probably, I think everybody in here understands that they're using much more water than their yard actually needs. They're putting more on there than it actually would need. So I want to go through a little exercise. I worked a lot with the Central Florida Water Initiative, and we just want to, and again, talking about those irrigation restrictions and people's awareness and their awareness of how their irrigation controls are working, just a simple thought exercise. So this is the potential impact of reducing irrigation by 1 cycle per week. And we're not talking about everybody, but just the people who are kind of over irrigating. So the water use per cycle, let's use that number from before, 991 gallons every time you irrigate. And then if you put the monthly water use for that, let's just say they irrigate 2 times a week. That's the irrigation restrictions. That's around 8,000 gallons. Estimated indoor, 150 gallons per day. That's around 4,500. So if you add that all up, that's people using 12.5 kgal per month. So we looked at Orange and Osceola County, and we found 40,000 homes that are using more than that. In my estimation, let's assume now that they could reduce by 1 cycle per week, and that would be 991 gallons. That's 39 million gallons per week, or 5.6 MGD. So when we're talking about Zephyr Hills and they're 3.3 million gallons, in Orange and Osceola, they can have what I would consider an easy reduction that probably wouldn't impact people's landscapes and have a very large impact. So as we go through for the next few days, we're talking about these landscapes. What occurs to me is that we've put in place very complicated irrigation systems for people. We put in systems of complicated restrictions that people aren't aware of or don't understand. We've known from some Dr. Duke's research in the past that our rainfall sensors, our rain gauges are kind of failing. So we put people in kind of a bad position to start with. And we understand that they want a nice looking yard, but the way we're going about it currently is a sort of onerous way to get there, I think. And I think we can come up with better solutions. So with that, I will stop and I will take questions or comments.